Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride.
Hi guys, I hope everybody's doing okay today. Thoughts to Mayor. I don't know if he's here yet. Once he gets here, I'll talk to him. I hope everybody's doing well. I would love to know what you're eating for dinner. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had. It is so hot right now. Here, 84 degrees or something like that, American degrees. And I feel like I'm melting. So that's great. Also, I can't really have the fan on very high when I'm live. So that's great. And I don't know. I wish I was eating ice cream. I did drink some water just recently. Good job, Paige. But I forget to do that a lot. And the dogs are barking. So great. Okay. Before we get started on the title card piece, hi Sean. We are going to watch a quick hearing in front of Judge Bromlick where a dad, I want to know what you think. Is he overstepping the line of controlling behavior, or is this standard and he really shouldn't even be needing to ask the court for this? Dad is pro se, mom is represented. Let's get right into that before we then go for our hour-long plus CPS hearing. Before any of that, though, we're going to say thank you and a happy birthday to Graham. Eating dinner with the KCC crew. Yay! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Graham. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Thank you again. Like I said, let's get right into this dad.
Calling the matter of Geordie Schmidt versus Joshua Gibson.
For the record, this matter is before the court this afternoon for the purpose of reviewing plaintiff mother's parenting time. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. President's attorney Alex Goldman representing the plaintiff mother, Ms. Sanashin Schmitz. Ms. Sanashin Schmitz is present. In addition, defendant father Joshua Gibson is also present. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
The parties have conferred with Monroe County front of the court. Patrice Patrick, who has provided the court the following recommendation that plaintiff mother's current parent time will continue as previously ordered, which, as the court recalls, was every Monday, week 1, Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 5 to 8. Week 2, Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, 5 to 8, and Sundays, and noon to 6. The prohibition on the significant other being present in presence of the children is vacated. That being Chris Dotson.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Further, it's recommended that the order provide that neither party shall disparage or make negative remarks about the other party, nor allow third parties to make disparaging remarks about the other parent in the presence of the children. That's the recommendation. Mr. Goldman, is this recommendation agreeable with your client this afternoon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Gibson, do you understand the recommendation?
I understand it, but I disagree.
Okay, what do you disagree, Mom? The parenting time continuing for Mom, or the boyfriend being present, or what?
But she can't even, she has missed, okay, if you calculate it in the
Hey,
month,
hold on, Mr. Gibson, why don't you break down what part of the recommendation do you disagree with? You don't think Mom should have any parenting time?
oh, no. She can have her parenting time. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, hold on.
I don't-
The first part of the recommendation, parenting time will continue as ordered. Do you have any objection to that?
Absolutely not.
What
Parents
is your
time,
objection to this Chris Dotson being present?
absolutely.
Okay, now we can communicate now. Okay,
Sorry.
what is your objection to Chris Dotson being present?
Well, her parenting hours, like you said, she only gets Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, week 1, 5 to 8 p.m. Week 2, she gets
Yes,
Monday.
the court's aware of the hours, yes.
Okay, so that's only 24 hours in a month. 48 the last month. She has only done a fourth of her parenting time since the last time we went to, or she has missed a fourth of her parenting time. Sorry, Your Honor. She has
Okay.
missed a fourth of her parenting time since the last time we went to court. I think she needs to focus on it just being her and the children during her parenting time. You only get so much. I feel like it should just be between you and the children. Focus all your energy on the children at that time.
The court does not disagree, Mr. Gibson. The court's trying to recall, why was that prohibition in there in the first place? What happened?
Married man, and she was dating a married man, and I just don't think that's appropriate. I mean, of course now, but
Oh, hi, Erica. So let's just recap here. They're in the middle of a divorce. They've split up. She was dating a married man, and she obviously has significantly restricted parenting time. So that's an interesting point. But it's difficult to come into court to represent yourself. It's always better to have a lawyer to say these things for you. Then they sound like a jackass, not you.
he's never met my children, Your Honor. Our
Okay.
children, Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Goldman, with whom does your client reside?
With Mr. Dotson, and they go
Right.
between-
Sorry. You go ahead. Go ahead. I apologize.
with Mr. Dotson, and they go between her grandmother's home and his mother's home.
That is a lie.
Okay.
That is a lie, Your Honor. I see her get picked up every single day from that man's house, dropped off from work from that man, picked up before pickup at that house, dropped off after pickup after drop off at that house.
Okay, now he's bordering on stalking. Why does he know what's going on at this guy's house so much? This is getting a little creepy.
The only time that woman goes to her grandma's is for the parenting time.
Okay, so do you believe parenting time should be only at the grandmother's home?
Oh no, they could go. This has nothing to do with the parenting time. This has everything to do with he doesn't need to be around while she's focusing on her parenting time.
Okay, all right, that's a valid point. And Mr. Goldman, what about that? Why it is pretty limited parenting time. A couple hours shouldn't, mom should be focused on these children. They are, 5 and 2, 5 and 3, they're your young children. It's a valid point.
And JJ will be 3 in December.
Okay, Mr. Goldman, is your client engaged to this Mr. Dotson?
Yes, they'll be married in October, Your Honor.
Okay.
But also
Well, maybe you can come back in October, but the court's gonna agree with Mr. Gibson at this time. Mom's focused on the children. She didn't need did she need help with her boyfriend?
No, and Your
Fiance,
Honor,
with the children?
her intent is not for Mr. Dotson to be present at all times. But for example, if she takes the children to the park, that would seem to be an appropriate time for them to gradually be introduced to Mr. Dotson. You know, he hasn't met them at all over the previous 2 years. She's respected that boundary, but we just think the absolute prohibition is unnecessary going forward.
I still disagree.
I would note, Your Honor, we were prepared to request no further hearings today and just continue with this as the order. But if you would like to set a further hearing, we would respect that.
Well, Mr. Gibson, obviously, if Ms. Shonachan Schmitz marries this person, that changes the equation. You understand that?
I was told the same thing. That's a different story. We could face that one up to.
Your Honor, Mr. Gibson just married his wife 2 months ago. When we filed, his girlfriend was living and acting as a surrogate mother to the children.
No, she was not.
It would be a double standard to apply that to Ms.
That's
Smith.
told you, but that
Mr.
is not.
Mr. Gibson,
Sorry,
Mr. Gibson,
sorry.
do not interrupt, please.
Yes, sir.
Just button it, let Mr. Goldman finish, then I'll give you a chance to respond. Mr. Goldman?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. All I was saying is that the children lived with Mr. Gibson and his girlfriend for several months before they got married.
That is not true.
Which part of that is not true?
I have never lived with my girlfriend. I went over there and stayed the night, but my address has never been over there. The kids have never, they've stayed the night there once or twice or 3 times, but they have never lived there. They have lived here their entire lives. 609 West 6th Street.
Your Honor, that is a lie.
That is not a lie. Just because I don't have legal representation to prove that I'm not lying, but that doesn't mean I'm lying. I'm telling the absolute truth. They have lived here their entire lives.
We could hold an evidentiary hearing on this matter.
And last time I checked,
Your Honor, I think it's easier and simpler for everybody to just allow Mr. Dobson. Let's trust Ms. Sonicson Schmidt's discretion, which up to this point has been stellar. Trust that she's going to continue to focus on her children, but gradually introduce Mr. Dotson into their lives, and no further hearings needed at this time.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Gibson.
how can you focus your energy on your children when you've got someone else around? They need her full undivided attention, not his.
Mr.
her.
Gibson, how did you focus on your children when your girlfriend was around?
She worked, and I also was with them all the time. What do you mean? I focused on
Mr. Gibson, you're not present during mom's parenting time. How do you know she's not giving the children her undivided attention?
based on all the hours that she's missed and gave up.
Okay, well, she's choosing not to exercise on parenting time, but when the children are with her, how do you know she's not giving undivided attention to the children?
I'm not saying that at all. I haven't said that.
I'm sorry, hold on, Mr. Gibson, that's what you're saying. You're saying that this, Mr. Dotson, if he's present, she's not gonna be able to give her undivided attention to the children. And I'm saying, how do you know when he's there that she's not going to?
Oh,
Just
because
assuming.
I mean, no, I mean, when Jordan, would you like to talk to Jordan when he comes home from school and ask him how he feels?
I'm sorry, who? Ask who?
Jordan, our oldest.
Is he afraid of Mr. Dotson?
He tells me that all the time. And
He's never met him. Why would he be talking to you about that? Hi. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for catching a show. This is going to be a good one. A good one. This is just a little appetizer, if you will. And then we are going into the main course. Quite contentious CPS hearing from Texas, one of my favorite states. And, well, you'll see.
that mommy talks to them on the phone when they're even supposed to be on the phone with him. Now, why is my 5-year-old coming home and telling me? I wasn't even going to bring that up, but since we're going to continue this on, I will bring it up.
I'm glad Mr. Gibson raised that point. How are the children afraid of somebody that they haven't met unless Mr. Gibson has been poisoning them against Mr. Dotson this entire time?
Chris Dotson has put his hands on me in front of both of my children, and there is proof. My sister has proof. My mother has proof. The neighbors have proof.
Okay, did you file a police report if he assaulted you, Mr. Gibson?
No, I did not. That was my
That's what you should have
stupid.
done. All
But-
right. Right there, again, has there been any incident where Mr. Dotson has been engaged in any assault or domestic violence in the presence of the children? Did this occur in the presence of the children, Mr. Gibson?
I mean, not that I know of, but
All right.
I just,
Well, that's what the courts will look at it. If in fact there's been some inappropriate conduct in the presence of the children. But obviously, Miss Sunshine probably wants children present at her wedding. I mean, that's appropriate. The children should be present at her wedding. And what I'm saying, what day is the wedding, Mr. Goldman?
I'll defer to my client.
October 28th.
Okay, where are you getting married?
Okay, October 28th. Where is she getting married? Where? Oh, where?
I'm unsure of the location currently. We're still in the process of planning that part.
Well,
Oh, that's a bad answer, Jordy. Is that what her name is? Jordy. So hold on. That's a bad answer, Jordy, because the judge, unbeknownst to you, but known to us, is highly involved in the lives of his children and grandchildren and doing fun, crazy things. I have a funny feeling the judge knows intimately the amount of work that goes in to planning a wedding. Seriously, like, so I think you should have said either, oh, we have a small venue planned, an intimate venue, or just said you have it booked, you have a deposit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna like it.
I disagree. I'm sorry. I'm standing my ground. I'm tired of being pushed over. I'm standing my ground. I disagree.
all right. Well, at some point in time, it's going to change, Mr. Gibson. But at
completely
this point in time, it sounds like this October 20th is a very questionable date. It's like, well, we're sort of thinking of that. We don't have any plans yet. We're getting married or where the reception is. So at this point in time, the court will agree with Mr. Gibson, where the court will keep in that prohibition. We can review this in mid-October. If Miss Sunshine Schmitz has got details of wedding, then obviously the children can be present at that wedding, Mr. Gibson. If she's going to marry this person, and again, unless you have some evidence that this person is a danger to the children or has acted inappropriately in the presence of the children, if he's assaulted Miss Sonnenschen Schmitz, if he's assaulted her in the presence of the children, or he's done something inappropriate, then that's a whole different ballgame. But at some point in time, they're going to have to get to know this person, especially if he's going to marry their mother.
Okay.
Okay, so the prior order of this court, and not only specify mom's parent time, but it still allows for video chats with the children at 6:30. Has that been occurring?
Yes, absolutely.
So only the biological parents should be present at the children's IE appointments and parent-teacher conferences. That's parents only.
The mom did what she's supposed to do. She came to the court and said, Judge, there's a current order that stipulates that I'm not allowed to bring my current spouse around the children. This relationship is progressing, and she's going by the court order. She's asking first. He's throwing a bit of a shit fit, and I think it would not help her. It would have helped her immensely if she had had a venue. I really think so. Because I think it's completely appropriate to introduce somebody that you're planning on marrying more than a few weeks in advance of that marriage. I'm reminded of the Mary Kate and Ashley movies from the 90s of like the kids flown in from boarding school to meet the evil stepmother right before, you know what I mean? That's not the right way to do it. She's asking for something reasonable to introduce him over time, gradually in good situations so that they get used to it.
So Miss Patrick, the court, if you can modify your recommendation, simply that All prior orders shall continue, shall remain in full force and effect. Neither party should make any disparaging remarks, which that's review in middle October. What time? How about the morning of October 16th? Are you available, Mr. Goldman?
I am.
October 16th.
About 8:30 on October 16th. Mr. Gibson, does that work with your schedule in the morning, October 16th? That's a Wednesday.
8:30. That'll be around school time. Can we push for like 9?
We can do 9 o'clock.
That's good for me, Your Honor.
All right. So we're going to add to this recommendation that we'll review parenting time October 16th at 9 a.m. Mr. Gibson, unless there's some, like I said, unless you have some evidence that Mr. Dotson is a danger to the children or has exhibited conduct which is harmful to the children, and mom has a confirmed wedding date, the court's going to allow him to be present. But until then, the court will continue. All prior orders of this court shall continue. Mr. Dobson shall not be present. Video chats 6:30 between mom and the children. The mom's parenting time is previously stated. Anything further, Mr. Goldman?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Gibson, anything further this afternoon?
Oh, no, not that I can think of right now. I think we're all good.
And Jordan could still keep a phone in his possession during mother's parenting time for emergency purposes. So yes, the prior orders of this court going back to March 5th, those will all continue. We're reviewed on October 16th, 9 a.m. All right, that will conclude here. You can all zoom out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He won. I'll give it to him. He won, which is unlike what we normally hear, but he did. Thank you so much. That is the appetizer. I hope you enjoyed that. And now we are heading, as promised, to Texas. This is, I guess I'll give a trigger warning. These can be somewhat jarring hearings because these are CPS hearings. There is no photos or images of any children involved in this, and they don't even use their names very often. So I'm feeling pretty fine about us watching these, but I used to watch them a lot on my own, and I didn't. Yes, I wish I had recorded some of the ones I used to watch. But this one, oh, yay! You don't have anything good for dinner? I get that. Suffice it to say, what I'm trying to say is that this is not the worst case I've seen, but it is a case that I rarely, I don't know, I don't want to speak too soon because I don't know. CPS cases are some of the most turbulent types of litigation that I've ever seen. It is very difficult to determine which direction something's going unless you watch the judge very closely over a long period of time. I wholeheartedly believe that. They will tell you that they all follow the law and they all follow the same statutes, but by experience watching them, it is 1000% about who's in front of the judge, which judge it is, what their coffee tasted like that morning, and how they perceive safety for children. It is a very interesting box to stand on. I respect lawyers that fight for parents in these cases. In this case, I found the part that I listened to already, the lawyers are extremely zealous in their defense, and I'm really happy to hear that. I often disagreed with CPS cases that I heard. This one, I think it's obvious, and which is why I wanted to show it. I started recording this at 2x speed and caught up, but luckily I managed to actually get the whole thing with good audio. So before I talk anybody else away, let's get going.
We are here in 24 CP 0060, set for a motion to participate. Present before the court is Ms. Malero with the District Attorney's Office. Caseworker Ms. Shelton, respondents Ms. Nwosu, Mr. Jackson are present. Ms. Hatcher is here for Mr. Nwosu, Mr. Hanson for Mr. Jackson, Ms. Gunn, attorney ad litem is present. Ms. Farah is Ms. Nwosu's witness. Please raise your right hands to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, the court is also live streaming this proceeding to the court's channel to allow for to be in compliance with allowing for public access. Counsel and all present are instructed to act as if you are currently in court. All participants in this hearing and any person viewing on the court's channel are not permitted to make any type of recording, production, reproduction, simultaneous broadcasts, or any type of copy of this proceeding. The court is keeping the official record, and a copy may be requested through Ms. Ramirez, the court coordinator. Failure to comply with these prohibitions may result in contempt of court, which can include a fine of up to $500 and/or confinement in jail for a period of up to 6 months for each act of contempt. Please proceed, Ms. Malero.
Thank you. I would like to call Miss Nwosu.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am. Could you
Hi.
state your name?
Jazaria Nwosu.
Okay. And you are mother to Rome and Iyer, correct?
Ma'am, don't use their names. We've talked about this. This lady right here, let's go over our character of people. This is the lawyer for the department. She is the one who represents the Department of Family Services and is the one basically saying this is a motion to compel participation. So they are trying to say, hey, you parents need to participate with CPS. And we are trying, normally parents often agree to do that. But in this case, they have come to court and are disputing that fact. They said, we don't need those services. And so her job is to prove that there is a clear danger to these children or this child and that they need to be involved with this family. The gentleman who's rubbing his face right now is the lawyer for the dad. The lady stern face with the glasses is the attorney ad litem. So she's the lawyer for the children. And then top is judge, mother, and attorney for mother. Bottom is witness and then the caseworker. And participate as in, no, they've allowed access. They're asking for them to basically enter into a case where they're going to require services and be at the mercy of the court.
Yes.
Since we're live streaming, let's just try to use their ages.
Yes, Your Honor. I apologize. Your children, they are about 5 years old and 6 months old, correct?
Yes.
Who all resides with you in your home?
Do I say like the ages? And
If let me rephrase that. Does anyone besides you and your children live with you in your home?
yes.
Who else lives with you in your home?
Joel Jackson and one other person.
And is that person an adult or a minor?
An adult.
What is your relationship with that other person?
That is my partner.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
you're what?
Like another partner, like a sexual partner, like a relationship. It's a poly.
Okay.
Is it Polly? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So it's a third person in your relationship.
I'm gonna object as to relevance. I don't know why this is relevant.
I'm not, well, I want to know who the household members are. So that's overruled. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long have you and Mr. Jackson been living together?
We've been living together for going on 2 years now.
Okay. What about your other partner? How long have you been living with him?
For 3 months.
Okay. Are you aware that the department is asking for you and Mr. Jackson to work services today?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you in agreement to work any services with the
Objection, Your
department?
Honor. It's their burden to prove that she needs to work services, not to ask her if she agrees to work services.
She didn't ask her
Jackson's
that.
agreeing to work services.
She didn't
They-
ask her that. She didn't ask her that. She said, are you understanding that the department is asking you to work services today? And she
And
said,
then she
yes.
asked, yes, and then she asked if she'll agree to them.
Okay. Keep going, Miss Malero.
Okay. Are you willing to work any services with the department?
At the time, no, ma'am, I would not like to continue to do that.
Okay. In October of 2023, you were admitted to a mental health hospital, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, you were pregnant with your youngest child?
Yes, ma'am.
You had called the police. prior
Objection, she's
to
leading the
admission?
witness.
She's allowed to lead the witness. She's adverse.
Ms. Noasu, you told officers at the time that you were having thoughts of hurting yourself, correct?
I'm not in remembering of that. No, ma'am.
Do you remember if you called the police?
I do remember that I called the police, but not for that reason.
Okay. Why did you call the police then?
I called the police at that time, because I was crying.
I'm gonna
I
object
did.
as to relevance. This was in October of 2023. This is July of 2024. That's like 10 months ago.
It's relevant, Your Honor,
How
because it's
relevant?
part of the department's concerns regarding
From
this.
10 months ago?
But
They
can I
should've filed
please hear,
something 10
Ms.
months
Hatcher,
ago.
Ms. Hatcher, she let you make your argument without interrupting you. Now, Ms. Malero, you are able to respond without being interrupted, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Malero.
The mental health concerns are part of what the department is concerned about and part of what these services are designed to address.
Right.
Okay, I will allow you some leeway here to try to get to where is the issue today in July to lay a foundation, but that's it.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Noasu, why had you called the police in October?
During that time, it was almost like a honest mistake because I wasn't trying to call them to like really come. I was crying a lot at the time because I was just like, hey, I'm kind of frustrated because in Houston they have services where you can call and say, hey, I just want to talk to somebody. Just I'm going through some things at the time. I didn't really have any like friends. I did text one of the witnesses, Miss Marine, that hey, I'm just going through some stuff. It was late, so no one like really answered like at the time. So she ended up answering like maybe like a little bit later on. So I kind of just was like, you know what, I just need to talk to somebody. I just needed to breathe. At the time, my husband was home. So they ended up coming and I didn't it wasn't for that reason. They just ended up coming because I was crying a lot. And the operator told me she really couldn't hear me. She's just like, hey, I'm just gonna send somebody over there.
Who did we lose? Miss Miller, did you blink off for a second?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you hear the answer?
I heard most of the answer. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you ready to ask your next question, or do you need her to repeat the answer?
I'm ready to ask my next question.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Nwosu, how long were you in the hospital in October of 2023?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Overruled.
I see her speaking, but I believe you're muted, Ms. Nwosu.
Oh, you might be muted, Miss Nwosu. I'm sorry, I thought she was
Oh.
counting.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I was in the whole process was like 10 days, like from the actual hospital and the institution. The institution that was like all together.
Okay. Did you get engaged in any sort of therapy or follow-up care after you were released from the hospital?
After I was released from the hospital or the institution? Or are you saying the same thing?
Did you go to the institution after you were at the hospital?
Yeah, they took me there. They transferred me there.
Okay, so did you get any follow-up care after your release from the institution?
No, I just kept continuing with Marine.
Okay. Who is Marine?
Marine, she's one of the, it's called a MAMA group. They talk about a lot of things like therapy, stressors, parenting skills, development skills, basically like group therapy. She's one of like the counselors there. It's like 2, 3 of them, but everyone is like, it's like group. She's part of that.
And make no mistake,
I
I
think
have a
she's
lot of
frozen.
respect for CPS workers and for the hard job that they do, but I think the adversarial system that we put them in is a problem. And this is unfortunately going to be an example of a terrible caseworker. She will testify. It's going to be frustrating to you. There this parent is reaching out voluntarily, doing things, and being punished for it when there are real cases out there. So again, we also shouldn't be criminalizing mental health or reaching out for mental health treatment. I'm sorry, that should not be something that you worry about, getting your children removed because you go ahead and ask for help and go to a facility to get an assessment done. No. 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 And here's my answer. You pay a lot more money into the system, pay the workers a lot more money, have them be more educated, have them be more supported, have more of them, have them do less work. You're like, oh, Paisley, that sounds amazing, but how do you pay for that? I don't know. Fucking figure it out. You figure out how to pay for a lot of things. Figure that one out.
I think she is too. Everything okay, Ms. Malero?
Yes, I apologize, Your Honor. I don't know why my internet is acting up right now. I did hear Ms. Nwosu say up to she's a counselor there. If she could repeat what she said after that, I would appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. I just went a little bit more into details. You know, she's a counselor there. It's like group therapy. I also talked to her privately if I needed anything. Her and another counselor that's there. She's also they also have this mom group that I can always reach out for. So basically, she's just one of the therapists there that help with anything that I need.
Okay. In about March of this year, you and Mr. Jackson left your youngest baby by himself, correct?
Objection, calls for facts, not in evidence.
Maybe you can rephrase the question.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Nuoso, in March of this year, did you call the police because you were locked outside of your apartment and your baby was inside the apartment?
Yes.
Okay. And what leading up to that, you and Mr. Jackson had gotten into an argument, correct?
No, not really. It wasn't like argument.
What was it then?
I would say it wasn't like an argument. It was more like I just needed to cool off. I was getting like a little bit more of like almost like a panic attack. And so I was like, hey, you know, I just need to cool off. So I end up going for a walk.
Okay.
It was more like that.
Okay, so you left your apartment and went on a walk, correct?
Yes.
And then Mr. Jackson, at some point, he came to pick you up.
Correct.
Was he looking for you, or did you tell him where you were?
I told him where I was. I was walking back from where I was, and I just told him, "You can come pick me up."
Okay. When he picked you up, were the children with him?
It wasn't. My daughter was with her grandmother, so it was only one child.
And
no.
where was the youngest baby with Mr. Jackson?
No, he wasn't.
Okay. Where was the baby?
He was at home, asleep.
Okay. Did the two of you return to your apartment after he picked you up?
Yes.
And did the two of you have an argument again at that time?
Not
Objection,
soon as
facts not in evidence. She said again, and Ms. Nwesi testified she didn't have an argument the first time.
Rephrase your question, please, Ms. Malera.
Did the two of you argue after you arrived at the apartment complex?
No, ma'am. He went inside. I stayed in a car. He went inside to go like check on a baby. And then he opened the window to his room. Cause it's like right there by our car. So it's like a window from our car, from where we park all the time. You can see our window. You can see both of our rooms. So he opened the window to where the baby was, which was in our room. And so he came back downstairs and we had a conversation out in the car.
It doesn't sound like they were arguing. It sounds like they were actually having a conversation and they were being responsible about it by not doing it in an area with the child. Also, she left and the baby was in the care of the dad. So she didn't leave the baby unattended. The CPS lawyer is doing a terrible job, but I just am happy that there are some good lawyers here that are calling it. The judge, we'll see.
I was telling him that I didn't think like he really understood me or anything. He was getting a little bit frustrated because he wanted to help, but it wasn't like really like heated or anything like that. He just ended up going in. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to
Objection
basically go
narrative
to my mouth."
Sustained,
beyond the scope of the question.
sustained. The narrative is sustained.
At the end of that discussion, Mr. Jackson left, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And at that time, you attempted to return to your apartment unit
yes,
and the apartment was locked.
correct.
You called the police, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Jackson, he returned prior to the police and opened the door?
Right. I called him first, but my phone was finna die. So I called the police like immediately, kind of after I called him, because I didn't know, like it was literally on 1%. So I didn't know if he was gonna come back in time. I didn't know, whatever.
Okay. From Mr. Jackson picking you up at the park to unlocking the apartment door, how much time passed?
The door, the he already was like unlocking the door. He was coming up and down the stairs. So the child, like our son, was only when he left, it was only like maybe like 3 minutes, because the park that I walked to was only like 3 minute drive. So when I was walking back, I was already walking back halfway. So it was only like 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, so from when Mr. Jackson picked you up at the park and the two of you returned to the apartment complex, you said it was about
Five,
five
like
minutes?
Yes.
And how long was the discussion between you and Mr. Jackson in the parking lot of the apartment complex?
It was maybe, because it was like he was, like I said, he was going back and forth. So like it was like maybe 10-20 minutes, but he's coming up and down the stairs.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Ms. Hatcher, any questions?
Yes, Ms. Nwosu, after that incident occurred, was the department involved with you?
Like, did the police come to the house?
No, the department, CPS. Was CPS involved with you after that?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do with CPS?
It was a surprise, so I was kind of like, hey, what's going on? I was kind of like,
Let me rephrase the question. Did you perform and did CPS ask you to do any services?
Yes, everything they asked me to do so far, I have done.
Okay. Do you remember when they did the investigation initially?
Yes, it was in March. Like,
okay. Do you
it was in
remember? Okay. Do you remember if they read your rights to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so after that investigation, who did you meet up with from CPS?
Do
you remember the name of your caseworker?
Like from a different department, like the family department, or
right, from the family department.
It was Bonnie, and it was her name was, it was another lady. I forgot her name.
That's okay.
I haven't written it down.
Is it the same Bonnie Shelton that's on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what different services did you do with or for CPS?
So so they asked me to do a drug test. I went to everyone the same day. I did the psychological with Miss Statler. I did the psychosocial for Miss Bradley, and also went to another session with her where after psychosocial, they told me, hey, you're going to proceed. Miss Bradley told me I was going to proceed with her. So I did another one with her, like a session, us talking about kids safety, why am I even involved in CPS, that I know what happened, what was the mistake in this. I've been still proceeding with Mama.
Okay, let me
And
stop you right there. What is, how did you find out about Mama and how long have you been involved with them?
I've been involved with them since October 9th. And I found out through when I was going to one of my appointments, and I was telling my doctor was telling me, how do I feel? Have I been like very active, typical like mom questions. And I was like, hey, I haven't really been like in the mood. I felt like, kind of lonely. I feel like I'm I have my husband, but I don't really have no other moms around and things like that. And she gave me the group and she said, these people can help you. And they she told me I can either do medication. She suggests medication, but I was like, I don't really think I need that. And she told me about the group. And so I ended up choosing a group and I said, I will try this. And they texted me the first day and it
And
helped.
have you been involved with them then since October?
Yes.
How often would you say you're participating with Mama?
So it's every Friday at 10 o'clock. I used to go like every Friday. And then it started kind of going less since I've been working.
Okay, and where are you working?
I'm a manager at KFC at the moment.
Okay, and KFC where? In what town?
KFC in Texas City. It's like a mile away.
Okay, and how many hours a week do you work?
Like 35 to the least.
Okay.
Probably like 40.
Now, I wanna make sure we're clear. When you left to go to the park, Jules was at home with your baby, correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And how far away was the park from your apartment?
3 minutes.
Okay. And so so you didn't have anything to do with the baby being left at home alone, right?
No, ma'am. I initially asked him, where's the baby? And he said, I left them at home because he was sleeping. He didn't want to, so he hurried up and picked me up. And I said, okay, come on, let's go back home.
Okay. So but you did say you did call the police because you wanted to make sure that you could get in the apartment in case he didn't come back, right?
Right.
And have you taken any parenting classes?
Yes, I have.
And where did you take parenting classes?
It's online and it's with the WIC. I have to. They only suggested for me to take 1 or 2, but I took like 40 of them since like
So I'm sorry, since when?
Since like August of last year, and like my last one that I remember is I did February 9th of this year.
Okay. And can you remember some of the topics that you learned about?
Yes, ma'am. So some of them were a lot of it talked about like food safety, how to manage stress, postpartum. It even had like things like activities for like me to work out. It had like milestones for the children. If they're doing this, what's the signs of feeding cues? Even like stuff for my daughter, like how to what's the importance of being active in the child's life, playing with them, sitting down with them, changing. Because my daughter's also kind of like a picky eater, so they talk about things like that. Just a lot of things about parenting, making sure you prep food well so the kids won't get sick, you won't get sick, a lot of things like that.
Okay. Do you believe that CPS needs to invade your life?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Hanson?
Yes, Your Honor. Hi, Ms. Nwosu. So would you say that what's the furthest like distance, like in time you could get back to the kid, your son would be either you or Mr. Jackson, if you remember, like.
I'm gonna have Jackass asked and answered. She already said it was 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get like a spacing. Like you'd say, like if you owned a house, it's kind of like you're walking out in your front yard, essentially, right?
Right.
Okay. And I mean, your son was never really out of y'all's control, correct? I mean,
No.
And he was fine.
Yes, he was fine. Even when the police showed up, she was like, baby's fine. He was still sleeping. He wasn't crying or anything like that. It was literally like he put him down.
Okay. When you called Mr. Jackson, and then just because your phone was dying, you immediately called the police just out of a measure of diligence, correct? I mean,
Right.
Like a safety measure.
Yes.
And he didn't have any time, Mr. Jackson. I mean, he didn't even have any time to respond back to you, correct? I mean, essentially.
He did say that he.
I meant in between the
way.
call and the call to him, and then immediately the call to police. There was no time really for him to contact you back, correct? Or it was a matter of seconds or minutes.
It was a few minutes, but I would say he didn't have like time to like come
Maybe
back,
hear
like,
it and listen to the message and call back. It was that quick in succession.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So you were kind of just
like I just panicked.
Yeah. I get it. New baby, and you know, you're trying to do everything you could. And when y'all were talking, I guess in the parking lot, you said you could see your apartment, correct? And
yes, and I can hear everything. You can hear everything.
There are windows. What floor is it on?
So we live on the second floor.
Okay. But it has a stair, well, I'd imagine, correct?
Yes.
Up there, and is there a window accessible like via the stairwell and stuff?
So like the stairs is like outside, and so it's like windows right
Yeah,
there.
like there's windows, and then there's a door too, kind of where the stairwell is. So, like an emergency, you could kick the window in and get to the kid, correct? If you had to.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, if
it was an emergency, that's all I'm saying. Asking, like, you know, like a fire or something, you could get in there if you had to.
Right.
Even without a key.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, and then, you know, he was never in any harm, I guess. And y'all voluntarily both participated in the FBSS services, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And okay, I think I'll pass the witness, Your Honor. I don't have any further questions.
Ms. Gunn.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Noso, I'm sorry, you may have already answered this and I'm just a little bit unclear, but since you're released from the hospital, have you participated in any individual therapy or just the group therapy?
I would call that like individual therapy for myself because anytime, like I said before, like anytime I need something, if I need to say, hey, it's the same thing you would do with a therapist. say, hey, you know, I'm going through this, or I need help with this. She's always there. It's another counselor there that's always there for if I need anything. So any times of the night. So I would say that yes, I have participated in individual therapy, and also because I did do a little bit with Miss Bradley.
Okay, you said that was just one session, right?
That was like 2.
Well, there was a psychosocial evaluation that you did with her, and then one session after that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you haven't ever done individual therapy in a continuing kind of a way where you'd have a session every week or every other week or something like that, have you?
No, ma'am, I don't have the time for that.
Okay, so your objection on individual therapy would be time constraints. Is that accurate?
Yes and no.
Okay.
And I say that because I also, because I'm okay, like I'm fine. Like I don't feel like that. I know I believe in therapy, and I feel like everyone will benefit from any kind of therapy, but I don't feel like I need that. Even if I was to proceed, like I feel like mama helps me a lot. That's what I'm really trying to say. Like everybody that's in my life, everybody that family members, friends, everyone that surrounds me helps me a lot, to where I don't have to go to an outside source to be able to say, hey, I need help, or I'm going through this. So that's really what I'm trying to say.
Okay. If you were to participate in individual therapy, would it help if the provider offered things like flexible time frames or virtual therapy that you could participate in online without having to come to their office? Would that make therapy more accessible for you?
I will also do a yes and a no for that one, because I will say that
I'd object to
the therapy
question
Yeah.
calls for speculation.
And I would object to the line
Narrative.
of questioning. That's the department's burden to prove that she needs it before we talk about how she can do it.
It's overruled on the, I'm not sure what the speculation is overruled. I think though that she said no. So we can go on to the next question.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I got completely lost on what the answer to that was.
I heard her say no, and then she started explaining why no. Is that correct?
Yes. Beyond
Right, so
yeah.
Yeah, I would object to beyond the scope.
she's answered, just ask the next question. She's answered it with no.
Have you ever been diagnosed by a medical professional with any mental health condition?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever been treated for any kind of mental illness?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any concerns that you might have something of that nature?
No, ma'am.
You referred earlier to your husband. Is that Mr. Jackson?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
How long have you all been married?
We officially got married.
He's with her right
What
now.
was it? Yeah. Like March. It was like March. Yeah. June, November. 3 months. 3 months? Yeah. So officially, it was like 3 months.
Okay, 3 months ago.
Yes.
Okay. And is he definitely Rome's father?
Yes.
We're trying to not say the children's names since we're live streaming.
Sorry, Your Honor. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay.
Super offensive.
Any additional witnesses, Ms. Malero?
I'd like to call Miss Bonnie Shelton.
Okay, I'm not gonna be happy with this. I've listened to a little bit of it already. This is unfortunately, in my opinion, first of all, they didn't take the children. The children are in her care. This is a motion to compel participation. So they are coming to the court and saying that these parents need to participate in services. We're about to hear from the caseworker, and we've seen Bonnie before. I personally think they should have caseworkers that are dedicated towards testifying only, and they can testify from a record, because it is a skill to do testify in court like this. But this is not her best work. It's obvious. And services in quotations basically means whatever the fucking department wants. So that means originally they already signed up and said we'll do family-based safety services. So that means they've come in and said, hey, you need to learn about safe parenting, all these different things, and they've done all that. That was, again, this timeline is a little odd for this. And we're going to hear now from the caseworker. So she should be really able to come in hard here and explain why these kids are unsafe to the point that the government needs to be involved in this. Remember that, folks. This is government overreach.
Okay. What I would like to know is, what are y'all asking her to do?
Yes, I will ask Ms. Shelton those questions. So Ms. Shelton, what services is the department asking for Ms. Nwosu to complete?
We are asking Ms. Nwosu to complete individual counseling, parenting, domestic violence counseling, couples counseling, or I think it was listed as family counseling, and we're also asking her to complete a psychiatric evaluation.
Okay. Has she completed anything for FBSS already?
Yes, she's completed a psychosocial, I believe it was on around April 31st, and she completed a psychological, I believe it was on around June 6th.
Okay. Do you want? Oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize. I think she also completed 1 or 2 sessions of individual counseling.
Okay. Have you been able to review the recommendations of the psychological?
I have not been able to review the recommendations of the psychological due to the mom refusing, withdrawing her consent. So the therapist was never able to send it. However, I reviewed the recommendations from the psychosocial because we had received that prior to.
Okay. Are you asking that she complete the recommendations of the evaluation she's already done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the psychiatric, was that a recommendation from the psychosocial, or is that something you're asking her to do on your own?
Well, I'm not sure what I'm able to talk about in regards to the therapist who completed the psychological, because we had a conversation the day that the—
And I'm going to object to hearsay.
The parts she's not, you're saying you were not able to speak to her, right?
I was able Me, Judge, I apologize.
Yeah,
For
that's
me
what
to
you just said. I was not able
answer-
to speak to her because that day something, and then you stopped.
I spoke to the therapist who completed the psychological the day she actually did this assessment, which was in June prior to mom refusing consent. So I do know some of the things that the therapist had concerns about.
Okay.
Next question.
Is your request for the psychiatric based off the concerns that were conveyed to you that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're also asking that she sign a
Your
release.
Honor, I'm going to object to this line of questioning because they have to prove a substantial risk of abuse and neglect and a continuing danger in the home before we even get to services. And they haven't had any testimony as to that.
Okay, we'll save that for argument. She's allowed to ask her questions. Please proceed, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Shelton, are you also asking for Ms. Nuoso to sign a release so that you can verify she's engaged in and
I'm going to
completing
object to her leading a
services?
witness.
Please don't lead your witness.
Can I? Yes.
Go ahead, yes.
Yes.
Okay. And are you asking for Mr. Jackson to complete?
Objection! It's leading her witness.
I don't think that's a leading question, Your Honor. Just because it's yes or no doesn't mean it's leading. And now I'm asking specifically about Mr. Jackson
Okay.
and if we're asking him to do services.
Go ahead, Ms. Malero.
Thank you. Ms. Shelton, are you asking for Mr. Jackson to do services?
Yes, ma'am.
What services are you asking him to complete?
We're asking him to complete the same services, individual, family counseling, domestic violence counseling, and he's already completed the psychological, and he also had substance abuse treatment.
Okay. And what is the substance of concern for him to be doing a substance assessment?
Marijuana.
Okay. And were you aware of the third member of the household?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have you spoken with them about FBSS?
No, ma'am. I have not been able to speak to the third member in the home.
Okay. Do you know if that's something you'll be looking to do, or is it not a concern?
The department would like to assess the third member in the home as far as background checks and previous CPS history, and if there's any concerns and if she's willing to do any type of services if needed.
Okay, but right now she's not a part of this case, correct?
No, ma'am, she's not.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Any questions, Ms. Hatcher?
Ms. Shelton, you were not the original caseworker on this case, right?
Correct.
It was Kathy Wall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when did you take over from Kathy Wall?
I took over on May 14th.
Okay, so Kathy worked with Jazaria, I guess, what, March, April, and May? Does that sound about
Correct.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you took over, you got upset because Jazaria told you she was too busy working to continue with all these things that you wanted her to do, right?
That's not correct. She wasn't working at the time when I took over the case.
So she wasn't working at KFC?
No, ma'am.
When did she start working there, as far as you know?
When I initially came to the home, she said she had a job at the bowling alley that she hadn't started. And then when I came to the home, maybe right before she told me she didn't want to do services, that's when I found out she was working at KFC.
Did you know that she was doing her sessions with Mama?
Yes, I did.
Have you spoken with anybody from Mama?
No, I have not I have not been able to get in touch with anyone from the Mama to confirm her attendance.
Have you tried?
Yes.
Really?
This lawyer eviscerates this witness. And again, this is the problem. She's lying, allegedly, on the stand here. She just clear as day said, did you call and check on it? Yes. Now let's see what actually happened.
Who did you try to call?
Well, no, I asked mom for the information. However, I wasn't able to get that to contact. She gave me she didn't know who it was or whatever. She just knew a name, but she said she was going to get the information, and that just never took place.
Would you be surprised to learn that that information is in the file from the last time the department investigated and ruled out the allegations last year?
No, I wasn't aware.
Okay. Also, this incident that we're talking about now that occurred in March, isn't it true that the department ruled that as unable to determine?
Yes, it's true. It's unable to determine.
So just be clear on that. The department ruled this unable to determine. This has already been ruled on. This is beyond overreach in my opinion. You got a new case, fucking start it. But you already ruled on that.
Okay, and unable to determine means that there's insufficient evidence to say whether or not abuse or neglect occurred, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, you think that there's sufficient evidence for a court to be involved in order services?
Yes,
is that why
ma'am.
we're here?
That is correct.
So what evidence does the department have that this child is at a substantial risk of abuse or neglect?
So the agency is worried. We're worried about the parents' protective capacity and if they're able to provide the necessary care to the children due to the parents' mental health that has not been addressed. There's concerns.
Hold up, back up. Who said anything about mental health besides you?
There's mental health was discussed with the mom. The mom was admitted to the hospital due to mental health concerns, and she's not forthcoming, and we're not able to get the records to determine what's the extent of the mental health concerns. And then she also completed a psychosocial that was also concerns from the therapist for mental health concerns.
Does mom look like she's mentally ill to you?
Based on vision, but
I would object to speculation there, Your Honor.
Does mom talk to you? Does mom talk like she's mentally ill?
Based on our discussion,
Your Honor,
I'm going to object to any evidence. I'm going to object to any, exactly, and I'm going to object to any evidence by this caseworker of any supposed mental health concerns when there is no evidence of such. And I'm going to strike all of that testimony.
I'm not sure what testimony you're referring to because she hasn't been allowed to answer. The
the vibe of the judge, I was like, yuck. I can already tell that me and this judge would not get along at a party. She thinks, anyways, that's why they're fighting so hard. They're making a very good record. I think that this is overreach, allegedly, in my opinion, for sure.
Objection as what Ms. Gunn stated, which I believe is the legal objection, as that Ms. Shelton's not an expert on mental health, is sustained.
Correct. And so I'm moving to strike all of her speculation as to mom's mental health concerns because she's not an expert and there's no evidence of it. That's my objection.
I don't think that she's testified to any mental health concerns other than that mother was hospitalized, which your client already testified to.
Well, she says the department had concerns about mental health concerns. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's overruled. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll pass witness.
Mr. Hanson?
Thank you, Your Honor. So there was never any harm to any of the children that you can ascertain, correct?
That's correct.
And there was never any real danger to the children either that you presented, correct?
Can you rephrase that question?
You don't have any objective evidence that there was any danger to these children other than speculation, correct?
They were not harmed.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So you have no evidence that they were ever placed in any danger, correct?
They were placed in danger
The
because of
yes
the
or no
mental.
question. I mean,
Well, it's hard for me to answer the question because of how it's presented. I apologize.
well, sometimes they're designed that way. Um, you don't have any evidence that there was any danger to the children, correct? You haven't. I mean, you haven't presented it today, at least.
Correct.
Okay. And as far as all the services that you're wanting to have, I mean, domestic abuse counseling. I don't. Yeah, that was one of them you requested, correct?
Domestic violence, yes, sir.
Okay. There's no evidence of any domestic violence in this case, correct?
There's evidence of domestic violence due to police report calls out that came to the home. and the fact-
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
Objection, assumes facts not in evidence, and
You know,
hearsay.
Sustained.
Okay. Under the evidence that you've been able to present, there's no evidence of domestic violence, correct?
I would say that there is domestic violence.
Objection, non-responsive, Your Honor.
Lack of foundation.
Overruled. Saying yes.
Okay.
Next question.
The only thing that's been testified to about any that I guess could be construed as, some marital issues is arguing, correct?
Correct.
So, but I mean, obviously you don't take you don't open up a case or push a motion to participate for every couple that has a child and argues, correct? Because the state of Texas would take every child in the state, correct?
I'm unable to answer that question.
Objection to speculation, Your Honor.
Obviously, if anyone's ever been in a relationship, I imagine that they would have an argument sometimes, Ms. Shelton. Would you agree?
I'm not able to definitively answer that.
Okay. Would you say it's more than likely that almost every relationship in the world, at some point, people have had an argument in them?
I can't contest that every relationship in the world, but
Let's
I
move
can
on.
speak.
Okay.
Please.
But what you have here is just people arguing, correct? In this case,
There is concerns of arguing.
verbally arguing,
There is concerns of the arguing. Yes, sir.
and it was verbal arguing, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And these parents were voluntarily working with y'all, correct?
Correct.
And I don't know. Do you think that maybe you were trying to push them too hard? I mean, did they just got tired of it?
Objection to speculation.
Sustained.
Okay. But during every previous incident, they were both ruled out, correct?
That's correct.
No evidence of danger to the children in this case, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mayor, we're so glad to see you. I'm so sorry to hear about Sassy, and we're sending you good vibes. This case again. Seems like overreach. It seems like there's a lot more to work on. As a reminder, they've had a psychological evaluation, they've done drug testing, they've done a psychosocial evaluation. The parents are working with their own group therapy once a week, and the lady at the bottom here in glasses is her therapist the group therapist, and she seems to be quite invested. I have seen cases. This does not seem like a case to me where it just seems so weird. I'm so confused as to what they're grasping onto here. Yeah. Anyways, let's continue on watching. Let's see what happens.
Ms. Gunn?
Thank you. Ms. Shelton, you mentioned that Ms. Mosto had revoked her consent for you to review the results of the psychological evaluation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was that revocation of consent as to all of her medical records or just that one? How did that happen?
Initially, it was that one, wait, I apologize. You said, how did it happen to the initiation of the revocation? Is that the question?
Yes.
Is breaking up. Okay, yes. So to my understanding, the mom initially said she didn't give consent, and then when she realized that she
Objection
did,
calls for hearsay and assumes facts not in evidence. It was me who revoked the consent, Your Honor.
Okay, well, it's not really your consent to revoke, it's your client's consent
Well, I
to revoke.
revoked it on behalf of my client.
I don't know that that's how that works.
Sure
But
is.
in any case, the hearsay is sustained.
and then I asked I reached out to her attorney to confirm if that was the only thing she was revoking, and did she want to revoke anything else?
Okay, so as things stand right now, you don't have access to any of Ms. Mosa's medical records. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you feel it would be helpful for you to have that access?
Absolutely. The department really would benefit from the records, because it can attest to the concerns of if there's any previous mental health issues and if they need to be addressed, and what was recommended at the time that mom was seen by these professionals. And that could assist us in what we need to ensure the children's safety.
Based on what you do know right now, which it sounds like may or may not be complete, do you feel, based on what you do know about mom's history, that it would be beneficial to have a psychiatric evaluation performed?
The department absolutely feel that's beneficial.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Let me just stop here for a second. Let me see if I understand. Ms. Malera, did you have any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So as I understand it right now, the department's concerns are that in October 2023, Ms. Nwosu went to a psychiatric facility. And then in March of 2024, Ms. Nwosu, which I guess is around the same time that you got married, I'm not sure, Ms. Nwosu and Mr. Jackson had an argument, and the baby was asleep in the house while they were outside of the house and the door was locked.
Yes, and that they had previously left the apartment property or without the baby.
Well, I would like to clarify that when my client left, he was still home. So my client did not leave the child home alone.
Okay. And then Ms. Fura is here. I'm assuming to testify that she's participating in the MoMA group.
And to explain what the mama concept is all about.
Can you spell that for me? How's it
M-A-
spelled?
MAMMHA, and it stands for Mother's Maternal Health something. And I was going to ask her to explain it because I don't remember it all.
MAMAHA.
MAMMHA.
Maternal mental health screening referral and something or other.
Right.
Okay, so here's my question to the department. If I was able to Google that right now in 10 seconds, why is the department unable to Google it and attempt to make contact to verify services? I understand that Ms. Nwosu would have to give you some type of a release of information, but it's literally a Google search. And Ms. Furra's name is the first name that comes up whenever you open it.
Is that a question to me to answer?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. When I spoke with the mother in regards to her sessions, she was saying that her sessions were off and on, and I asked her for the specific therapist and her number. I never got that information to proceed with it because she agreed to engage in services. So we moved forward, and from investigations, it was said that she wasn't actually attending the sessions on those Fridays. So because of the inconsistency with our services, it was like, okay, if you're agreeing to do services, then when you engage, that would be suffice. And then you'll still have MoMA as your support system.
Okay, so let me.
Wow, Mayor, thank you so much. Oh, we love you so much. Sending such good vibes and hugs and jugs. Love you, Mayor. Thank you so much. That was a non-answer. The judge asked a very quick question and she dodged it. Not good. But we know one thing, weed is illegal in Texas. Judges, they don't have a lot of gray area on that, unfortunately. Mom tested negative, but dad tested positive for weed.
Let me ask this question because I'm still not clear. What is the risk of, like, what is the substantial risk of abuse or neglect here?
Am I answering? Yeah.
Yes.
CPS? CPS?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
So
yes. What would CPS say? This is the substantial risk of abuse or neglect. This is what is likely to happen if they do not work these services.
So the substantial risk of abuse and neglect is the fact that the mom cannot regulate her emotions. When the child was left alone during when CPS came out, it was stemmed from her triggers from her trauma with mental health.
But my question is, what? I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you. I wasn't there. What is the risk of abuse or neglect to the child, even if all of that were to be true?
The risk of abuse and neglect is that this is the habit of leaving the child home alone because this happened prior, and with the child being left at home alone and the mental health not being addressed, this can happen again, which can ultimately the child can hurt itself, roll over in the car seat, be left alone in a swing, and something can as far as like the oxygen can be cut off if they're left in the swing too long. So it can be harm left to the child if there these type of reactions or the child continue being left alone home alone. I'm sorry.
Okay, first off, there is no evidence presented.
I have it under control. Like I got it.
Okay.
As when oh no mind.
And the marijuana concerns came from a drug test? or
Yes, ma'am.
self-admission?
Yes, ma'am.
The judge, Dixie Lords, does she? I wasn't even paying attention. Oh my God, this case is not. The incident that they found was unable to determine that there was child abuse. They already admitted to that. This is very concerning to me. This is why I honestly was, when I started hearing this, honestly, I heard throuple at the beginning and I was like, oh, that'll be good. But then it's not really about that. It's really about the ineptitude of this particular situation. And that's my opinion. And I know they're working in such a hard situation, but this is overreach beyond belief. Anyway.
When the father tested positive for the drug test, he was positive in his UI for marijuana, and the levels were 73. The initial concerns from the agency was for him to just gauge in treatment to learn how to be protective, because he was under the influence, also leaving the child home alone while using at some point. But when he did his substance abuse assessment, the therapist gave her recommendations based on her assessment.
Okay.
To be clear, 75 is so low. So low, so low, so low. If I tested right now, it's likely that my levels would be over 2,000, which is generally the top end of testing, and they may last for literally 6 to 8 months. So 75 is actually below threshold in a lot of cases. Anyways, this is just nuts to me. Absolutely nuts. They literally stopped testing, I think, at 2,000 micrograms per milligram of blood. And again, keep in mind that this is a 75. I'd be interested in what the minimum threshold is on that.
That's honestly the most concerning piece of all of this to me, is that the person who is left in charge of watching the child might be under the influence of marijuana at the time that he's caring for the child. That really seems like the most dangerous piece of all of that.
There's been no evidence that he was
There's been
under
no
the
evidence of that.
of marijuana. There's evidence that he had marijuana in his system, but there's been no testimony to any marijuana use or inhibitedness of Mr. Jackson around the child. Just, I mean, from the affidavit or anything.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to.
Do you want to hear from Miss Fura since she's been waiting here for an hour?
No, I mean, she's the CEO of the place, and I'm assuming that she does the therapy with her. What I think that a simple release of information to verify that your client's in counseling would be perfectly satisfactory to me, and I don't need to know anything else. I don't think that there are.
It's breaking up. I can't hear.
Oh, the
yeah,
judge is
Bonnie,
frozen
we all
now.
fucking
Yeah.
hear it.
I think we all keep freezing.
I have some more questions. I do need to move on to the docket, so I can't sit here. We've been doing this now for over an hour. So I'm going to recess you all. Am I frozen? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you, but we can't. No.
Frozen. Yes.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make Ms. Ramirez the host of this meeting for just a moment. She's going, bless.
Oh yeah, it gets weird. But oh Jesus Christ, I gotta check on.
Okay. Apologies. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So give me just a moment and Ms. Ramirez will give you all a virtual date to resume. I just want to confirm that this family is, if they are themselves participating in outside community resources, that's fine. And can you all still hear me? I can't see y'all, so I don't know.
We can
Yes,
hear.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
I can.
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
If you had Zoom fail on your bingo card today,
I don't think she
go
can hear
ahead and
us.
turn that off, ladies and gentlemen.
Friggin'
Zoom
hurricane internet
fail
service is this
on
one.
your
God.
bingo card. She makes a ruling, a very unusual ruling, I will say.
My shaky internet's actually more stable than my phone. Well, somehow. I don't know.
Yes, a Judge Creed frame may have been on your bingo card as well. A government overreach, is that on anybody else's bingo card? How do I feel about it?
Are y'all able to
well,
hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Judge is having internet trouble. She's going to order the dad to go for a drug test. And let me see, I'm going to look at the docket to see what we have to come back.
Would that be a urine and hair follicle drug test?
Let me ask.
Okay.
And reminder, this is not even the judge. This is the judge's assistant ordering this via a text message that's coming in, I'm assuming. It's very unusual. If somebody was making an official record, I wonder what the record would be. They might, but it is super bizarre. But they, luckily together, it's better almost because the mom didn't actually do anything wrong. She's not tested positive, and she's not.
She says a UA is fine.
Phew.
What, Ramirez, the time span on that? I mean, my client's he's present with the mom, but I haven't been able to. I talked to him before, like the hurricane hit, but I haven't been able to. I just want to make sure he has enough time to get it done.
Okay. Yeah, and the dockets are pretty full, so we're getting like pretty far out there. So how about August the 13th?
Is when he has to do the drug test by.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking for the hearing day.
Either one. I mean, both, I guess.
Okay.
Ms. Nuosa did put in the chat that he could do it today or tomorrow.
Okay.
I'd say at least give him till tomorrow.
And is there anything in regards to the children being seen for this month?
What was that question? I'm sorry.
I said, is there any way the children can be seen for this month?
Okay.
Actually, I need to do that as well, Yvonne. If we could throw that in. Thank you.
Is that a question for the judge or for the department?
For the
judge.
The judge.
Okay. Judge says the UA for tomorrow is fine, today or tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
That's a witness. Isn't she a witness? Why is she even asking for things like this? The CPS lawyer has no control over this. No, CPS does not have the children. The children are with the parents. They're requesting the parents participate in services. They don't have the children. The children are in their care. This is the guardian ad litem and the caseworker want to lay eyes on the children, which the parents seem fine with. They also suggested going today or tomorrow for the drug test, which tells me they're not worried about that.
Yes, for the children being seen.
The record will reflect that the judge's assistant made the ruling.
And so,
Did you for recessing it, and so there's no ordering any services except for my client to take a 1 UA either today or tomorrow? Yvonne?
Victoria?
That was my understanding, that as of right now, the only orders judge is making is for the year analysis and for the parents to permit Miss Shelton and Miss Gunn to see the children, and that will return at a later date. I got the impression that if we can verify parents are participating in outside community resources, she might just see what that entails and decide further services.
Okay, so the next date would be August the 13th at 3 p.m. by Zoom.
Well, my understanding is that she's recessing the hearing. I don't think we can recess for a month.
I don't see why we can't.
Because the hearing's supposed to be held within 14 days. Held. Doesn't mean started, it means held. We're already past that. So, I don't understand why we need to recess for a month.
This is the soonest, there's just no time on the docket. I'll look again, but there's nowhere else to put it.
I mean, I would think that I'm not sure why she wants to recess.
The emergency status for Beryl. I don't know. But I saw something about that on another.
Yeah,
but that doesn't, right, and that's why we're having the hearing today, but I don't think we need to recess it for I'm not sure why she's recessing it. But for what, if she needs to recess it just to see what the results of the drug test are, I mean, we don't need much time. So, I would think I would hope we could be squeezed in somewhere. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know what I don't know what the purpose of the recess is, except for the drug test. I don't know.
Probably.
Huh?
Yeah, I think it's logistics, probably, Julia. Like, just
from what my understanding is, another drug test.
Yeah, that's all that you're being ordered to do today, Mr. Jackson. I'll try to call you too. I mean, don't talk to me like we're on the phone like right now because we're but just as far as the order today, that's all. You have to get it done by today or tomorrow, and just we'll wait and see what that says.
So we can set it on the docket for August the 1st at 2:30, and that would be in person.
August 1st.
First.
I'm supposed to be in Austin. Okay, will you ask her if I can appear by Zoom? I'm supposed to be in Austin on the 1st.
Okay, so I have it down for August 1st, 2:30 in person. And Julie, I'll send her an email
Okay,
for your
thank you.
request.
That's it. That's all.
Ed? Victoria?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody has the date and,
Yeah.
okay. All right, well then I will let everyone go.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
have a good day.
You
Thanks.
too. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
There we go. Yeah, what an interesting case. I think because it's in person, we may not see that follow-up. I will try my best, but I believe that her in-person dockets, I don't know. I'll keep an eye out because I'm interested in the outcome. I personally think it's an overreach for sure, and I think that hold on. Anyways, what I was saying is that I definitely think that this is an overreaching situation that I worry about. These parents didn't seem to be doing much terrible comparatively to some of the things we've seen. I'll just say that. Anyways, I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thank you so much. I know it was a bit of an early one today, but we got a lot in. If you missed the first hearing, go back to the very beginning and watch that. That was one where Dad won his argument about the new stepdaddy coming into the picture. That one we'll also try and follow up on as we go through. Remember to like the video. It's really helpful. And also, remember that I love you, I'm proud of you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.